Hi, this is Karen with Karen's Cards and More. And today I want to show you a card that, sometimes we get caught up in techniques and using a lot of color and all these fancy things, when sometimes simple is the way to go. For this card, I wanted to feature just using black and white with a pop of color to show how you can make something that's truly elegant and beautiful. And it's just black and white for the most part with just a little bit of color. So let me show you this card. I've used an embossing folder and then black images to go on the white, and just this pop of lemon twist, which is one of the new colors from Stampin' Up. I am a Stampin' Up demonstrator, so the products I'm going to share today are Stampin' Up products. If you see anything that you would like to order, you can do that on my blog at karenscardsandmore.com, and I'll put the link in the description below. And so for the inside, I just did a little stamping. Now you could do like a black layer of cardstock with a white on top of that and then do the stamping on that. I just knew that I already had a lot of layers going on, so I didn't do that on the inside just for mailing purposes. So at the end, I'm going to show you another variation of this same components, just laid out a little differently for a different look. Both equally elegant, both equally beautiful, just a little different layout. So let's talk about what products we need, what things are we going to use to accomplish this look. So to start with, I used the Two-Toned Flora stamp set. Now this stamp set is meant to have a solid image and a more detailed, so that you could do a two-tone flower look, and I'm going to show you some samples. I was just stamping around and playing with colors, and this is what you can do with this set. So you can do the detailed with one color and the solid image with a different color and get a really beautiful look. Let me show you. I have a yellow one that I did here. Just different shades of yellow, and you can get a really beautiful flower, and that's the purpose of this two-tone stamping. Well, to do the black and white, I just used the solid stamp, and that gave me the solid black images. So that's what we're going to do. There's a coordinating die set for this, which we're also going to be using some of the dies. And just to show you, this die set comes with the dies to cut out the stamped images, but it also has this background die that makes a beautiful layer for your cards. So definitely a good set to have. Then I also used these squares from the Stylish Shapes. I used the next to the largest and then the one below that. I didn't use the largest, but the next two down I used. And then I used, wanted to say dies. This doesn't have a stamp set. It's just a collection of word dies and a few images. And I used the Celebrate. One is the background. Let me show you on the card. So one creates the background, the black piece, and the other creates the detail to make the word on top, which is out of the lemon twist. So I used that die set, and then I used the Cane Weave 3D embossing folder. So that's what I used to make this card. Then I have a piece of basic white that is 5.5 by 8.5, scored on the long side at 4 1/4. I have a piece of black that is 5 1/4 by 4. And here's those two squares that I told you about. And for the white piece that we're going to emboss, let me show you an easy way without having to get into the 1/8 inch measurement. So my black piece is 5 1/4. So I'm going to set this on 5 1/4. And then I'm just going to back up 2 lines. So if I just back up 2 lines, so there's the 5 1/4, and I just went backwards 2 lines. and I'm going to cut that off. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the 4-inch. So the black piece is 4 inches wide, and I'm just going to back it up 2 little lines. And that's going to give me a perfect piece when I want just a little bit. I don't want the full, I don't want it to be a 1/4 inch smaller. I just want a really small mat around that. And so that allows me to get that really small, thin edging around. So that's how I accomplish that. I just go down 2 lines, just like that. Now I'm going to show you the embossing, and there's a reason I'm showing you this, because I want you to see. So on the Stampin' Up! Embossing folders, there's the Stampin' Up! Image, but then there's this line. Now some patterns this doesn't matter, but this cane weave, getting it straight, you don't want your cane weave to be crooked on your cardstock. So what I did to help with that, I flipped it over and I can see that black line through the embossing folder. So I just took my white cardstock and lined it up on that black line. That way I can be sure that my cane weave is going to be straight. And then I just closed it and held it with my thumbs. And I'm going to run this through my embossing machine. Okay. And there we have our cane weave piece that is perfectly straight and in line, and we don't have to worry about it being crooked. So that's just a tip for how to make sure, just use the line that's on the folder. So we're going to go ahead and do our stamping, and I'm just going to bring in some scraps of the basic white to do our stamping. Now I'm using this larger flower that has the little stamens in the middle, the solid one. I'm using this smaller one that has the dots in the middle, the solid looking one. I'm using this cluster of flowers. I'm using this sprig, and I'm using the 2 little leaves. So we're going to go ahead and stamp this. I also used those word dies. Remember I told you I did the word dies. I die cut the shadow out of the black and the detail out of the lemon twist. So we've got that ready to go. So let's do our stamping. I'm using the black memento, and we're going to need 2 of these big flowers. So we're going to do that first. And you want to look, see how the ink isn't totally covering that? You want to make sure it's totally covering it. And when you've got a good amount of ink, you want to put that down, and then you want to hold it and just leave it there and let that ink soak into that paper. If you pull it right up, you're probably not going to get a solid black image. It's going to look spotty. So just make sure you leave that down for a few minutes, or not minutes, a few seconds rather. And again, I'm going to do the same thing because we need 2 of these, and I'm going to stamp that down and just hold it for a couple seconds and let that ink transfer, just like that. And we need 1 of these smaller ones, so we're going to go ahead and do that. And I'm going to hold that down as well, just like that. And then we need 1 of the clusters. And I'm leaving enough room in between because I know I have to die cut them. Okay. And then we're going to do 2 of these sprigs. And this is all in the black memento because we're doing a black and white card. So I'm going to stamp that down, and the same thing. I'm just going to hold it for a few seconds to let that ink transfer. And I'm going to do 1 more of these and hold that down. Okay, and then I need 2 sets of this double leaf pattern. So I'm going to do the same thing with this and just hold that down for a second. So I'm just going to do one more of these, and I'm going to hold that down for a second. And there we go. I've got all of my stamping done, and I'm just going to take this over to the die cut machine and die cut these out, and we'll be ready to start putting things together. Okay, so we've got all of our pieces, and we've got the original pieces that I told you about. We've got our card base, and we've got just a little bit more stamping to do. So what is going to be the inside of our card? We're going to do a little stamping, and we're going to need the black memento and the lemon twist for this. So what we're going to do, I wanted to carry over the theme of the pop of color on the inside. So the first thing I did was got my big flower on there, and it's the same big flower, and I'm just inking this up really well. And I'm just going to hold this down right there. And I'm just giving that ink a little bit of time. Okay, and then I'm going to come in with the lemon yellow, and I'm using this cluster, and I'm going to ink that up, and I'm just going to stamp the cluster right beside that, just like that. And then I'm going to add this sprig, and when I decided to do this, I didn't have any kind of mask cut out to cover this, so I didn't so it would look like the stem was behind it. So I just took a scrap of basic white, and I just laid it down in between to cover the edge of the black flower and the yellow, and I just stamped that over top of that to hide the stems of the sprig behind, just like that. So that's got the inside of our card done. And now we're just ready to start putting things together for the outside. So let's bring in the pieces that we need to put together. I'm going to bring in my liquid glue. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and glue our embossed piece on our black mat. And I definitely think liquid glue is better than the Stamp and Seal for this, just because of all the little crevices. To make sure it's held down good, I like liquid glue for when I'm doing embossed pieces. And I'm just going to line this up, and remember, this is a thin border up the black, and we're going to go ahead and put our square together. I'm going to make sure we've got our stitching right, so just going to put some glue on the back of this. And we're just going to center this on the square, just like that. And we're going to go ahead and do our celebrate. Now, for this, you could have cut this out with the double-backed adhesive paper on the back to make it stick. But I always get sticky everywhere when I try that. So I just like to take my liquid glue, and I just put little dots. And you don't have to cover it completely. I just go on the thicker parts and put little dots of glue. Okay. And then I get my C set first, and then I just walk it down letter by letter. If I get the bottom of it, then the top is easy to manipulate. So I just keep going till I get it all down where I want it. And then press it down. Now, if you're worried that you have a little bit of glue or that it might be sticky, what you can do is take your embossing buddy or whatever you use for that, a little bit of baby powder in a sock, cornstarch in a sock will do the same thing, and you can go over that. That'll take the sticky, and because it's on black, you can see where that powder is, and then I just take a towel and wipe that off. And that gets rid of all the sticky, so you don't have to worry about it sticking on your envelope or anything like that. So we got that done. Now let's move to our card base. Now we're going to add our mat with our embossing to our card base. And this has got a little bit bigger of a border. And then we're going to mount our squares. And we're going to keep this towards the top, because our letters are going to go down here. Our lettering is going to go down here. So we could go ahead and put that on. So I'm just going to put a little bit of liquid glue on the back. Just like that. Stick that down. Now you can play with this and lay it out to see how you want it before you start gluing. I know the pattern from the other one, and I'm just gonna figure it out as I go. So I'm just putting glue on the back. You can see I had stamped on the back and didn't like it, and so turned it over and stamped to the front. So I do make boo-boos at times. Everyone does. It's just easier to hide it because we can, you know, edit a video. I'm just going to put some more. And I'm going to put this one off to this side. And then I'm going to put my big flowers on next. And I like to not glue close to the edge so that I can stick my leaves underneath. It's going to be enough to hold it, but it still gives me room to stick my leaves under the edge. Again, I'm going to do the same thing. And this one, I want to go off this way a little bit. I'm going to put this flower down here. And then this cluster, I want to go up here towards the top. that down there. And then I'm going to put a leaf over here and a leaf over here. So I'm just going to stick this up under like that. Put a little bit of glue. And this is going to stick up under here. And then I have these lemon twist yellow adhesive back gems. And you can just put those wherever you want around here. I'm just going to put a few of these. And every time I do a card, even if I'm doing the same card twice, I always put these in different spots. I don't know why. And then we're just going to fold it. And there we have our card. Just like that. Now, I promised you that I was going to show you a variation. And here's a variation to the same card. I put things in a little different order. I put flowers at the top, flowers at the bottom with the celebrate in the middle. So two different takes on the same concept of going with black and white with a pop of color. So I hope you like these cards. I hope you'll give this a try. See what color you like with the black and white to give it that contrast. And play with this and know that you can make a really elegant card just with your black and white. You could even choose not to do the pop of color, but I just like the dramatics of that. I hope you've enjoyed this. If this is your first time with me, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. You'll be notified every time I upload a new video. Give me a thumbs up if you like the video so that I know to do more like this. Be sure to check out my blog and my Facebook group, my Facebook page, and I will be back with you to craft again soon.